at the vehicle here, followed by the LAPD Rampart Division officers. They're saying it's a possible shooting suspect that they're following. They got the
shooting suspect
here on the northbound 101.
That's a 4-star want, my friends.
It did not yield, so it is pursued. Although it's very slow right now at this point because of heavy traffic here on the 101. We're approaching the interchange there at the 170, 134, and 101.
That is indeed a 4-star pursuit. You are reading that correctly. 4-star pursuit underway in Los Angeles, 4:30 local time, 101 northbound, going right by all the major helicopter home bases. Shooting suspect is the want here. There will be no tracking mode on this one, as this is a serious want.
Due to the fact that this is a possible shooting suspect.
Possible shooting suspect for those of you just joining us.
101 freeway approaching the 101 170.
This is going to be an intense one. Allegedly stolen car as well that they picked up after the shooting took place. Boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's go chase it on the 101 northbound in the heart of primetime traffic here, 4:35 p.m. Eastern, Ventura Boulevard. As popular of a thoroughfare as it gets in the LA metro area. 4-star chase, shooting suspect, stolen vehicle, armed inside.
All right, and Gil, you said this is a possible shooting suspect. Do we know anything?
Gil Davis on the call. Eliana Moreno should be overhead as well.
No, not a whole lot about this shooting, Sam, although they're saying it's a shooting that occurred in Rampart Division. So we will.
What's up, Nutty Gang? Welcome in. Welcome back.
It's a little bit of a glare on the windows there, but the windows rolled up. It looks
Eliana was not first, unfortunately, so we're going with Gil Davis and KTLA on this one.
We haven't heard of any.
We'll make a change if we have to.
Well, it looks like it's like he was listening to you. It looks like he's taking the 170, correct?
Transition from the 101 to the 170. Look at that spider web of interchanges in LA thoroughfares and interstates. 1, 2, 3, 4 different ways that you can go up here in the valley. I am Gregor D in the chat, dropping 5 tier 1 subs out to the community. W's in the chat for one of our most generous community gifters. W's whether you got one or not. Appreciate you. Rank got all the way back here from the beach. I had my feet in the water about 9 minutes ago. Thankfully, there was a bird scooter right next to where I was. I got on the bird, was able to get from the ocean back to the chase the second it went live. That is commitment to the bit, my friends. That is commitment to chasing. Watching the sunset.
There might be a little bit of traffic up near Burbank.
Question in the chat, how is it 4-star already? Because of the want. Shooting suspects, stolen vehicle, multiple suspects armed inside of this XL Dodge Charger.
Okay, again, this is a shooting suspect. Don't have a lot of details. Gil told us
9 minutes, door from the ocean to going live. 9 minutes.
And the pursuit continuing now on the 170 approaching Burbank Boulevard.
Usually I'm stuck there and I got to run back and it takes me 20 minutes and I'm all pissed off and sweaty. But there was a bird scooter just waiting for me on the sidewalk. My chariot awaits.
15-ish in the Hollywood area. Is that where we think this started?
Even got a W from DJ Ryerson, Gregor D.
On the 101 freeway around Melrose.
Scooter Hive. I ride scooters everywhere.
Behind it, notified the California Highway Patrol. Then they lit it up, tried to pull it over, and the driver refused to yield. So it's been a pursuit, although very slow because of all that heavy traffic. Now he's got open lanes. A little bit of traffic coming up ahead, but the fast lanes are moving.
Let me see if Eliana's got it.
Well, this guy's not necessarily in a speed racer by any means. Going 53 miles an hour, 170.
I don't even see it on the website.
The next option is the 5 as he goes through the
Eliana?
Valley here.
Let's see.
And now I'm looking at that way, and there is
now that the freeway.
Okay, Eliana is overhead and on top of it. If you guys want me to, you're going to just require me to second here to...
As far as exiting here, but if he continues on that...
We'll listen to Gil while I bring up Eliana. How about that? We still got Gil, so stand by. Making the switch to Eliana.
It was pretty wide open there when he first got on the 170. You're thinking maybe this is a good spot for a pit maneuver because there were no other cars around. But
She is a
do
shooting
you think
suspect.
the fact?
Yeah, so it came out as a shooting suspect, and I failed to mention.
Now on the call,
one of the most important parts.
News Chopper
She
4,
needs to have a gun. So
Eliana Moreno.
that she has that weapon on her. So for that reason,
It's a she.
in a situation like this, we might start to talk about going into tracking mode, which is where the officers pull off and they just leave the helicopter overhead. But because she still has that...
Eliana's in the chat. Now on the call, News Chopper for Eliana Moreno, 170 northbound. I don't think that's southbound. I think we're still northbound.
And so for that reason, we will continue
We do have an
to
Eliana chase.
trail her. But you see
Finally.
that there's a little bit of traffic coming up here on the 170 as you approach the 5 freeway.
All news choppers overhead. KTLA. KCAL now overhead. Eliana Moreno, News Chopper 4. Gil Levis, just missing Chris Christie at ABC, but we go with Eliana.
She encounters this traffic here in Arleta.
Okay, so she is in the San Fernando Valley, Arleta, Pacoima, so she could very easily get onto that 5 freeway, couldn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. The 170 is going to dead end into the 5 so that she'll be able to transition.
W's in the chat. DJ Ryerson drops 10 big boys tier 1 subs in there. W's in the chat for our #1 community gifter. As always, DJ, you are appreciated. Chat appreciates you as well. 10 tier 1 ad-free viewings going out.
Tend to return to their house or a friend's house, an area that is familiar.
Everyone else who subscribed too, by the way, thank you. Can't get to everybody. Fact bears eat beats. That is right, Dwight Schrute. Dave Switch, you as well. Thank you guys.
So she's
Get back to the
heading
chase,
northbound
shall we?
on the 170 right now.
Yeah,
right
northbound
now.
170, not
What is
southbound.
that orange sort of panel on the driver's side
Lane
there?
number 4.
Push in here, Colleen. I believe.
Listen, all of these vehicles on the 170 can see an armada of police
Just
behind.
A second, but it'll come right back up. There we go. So I believe you were referencing that window there directly behind her. It's tough to tell what that is. Some sort of cover, perhaps the window has been replaced at some point and isn't part of the original vehicle. So it's unclear. Again, at this point, they don't believe anybody else is in there, but just based off of what I can see, those windows are very tinted. So it's very difficult to see if, in fact, anybody else is inside. But at this point, officers believe that she is, in fact, the only person in the vehicle.
This is a bigger car, so I'm assuming that the gas...
It's a Dodge Charger.
...they have is going to be limited at this point.
Somebody in the chat, please. We have artificial intelligence set up so that AI is so advanced that we've integrated it here to Twitch that our Nightbot will scan the screen and tell you what type of vehicle it is if this is your first chase. Let's see what the Nightbot has to say.
Eliana Moreno is overhead.
The Nightbot says this is a Dodge Charger. The suspect's vehicle is a Dodge. Thank you. Okay, all right. It is a Dodge Charger.
So it really hasn't been going on for too long. They followed her for about another 10 minutes prior to that. And a following is always what precedes a pursuit. And that's basically just when they're getting the airship overhead, they're getting the units behind her.
Yeah, there's multiple jurisdictions in pursuit and overhead. This is a 4-star chase.
Oftentimes, of course, they get all those units and the helicopter overhead.
They will not be going into tracking mode unless they start driving recklessly.
Go about their merry way. But in this case, they got all the units behind her, they got the helicopter overhead, and sure enough, she took off. So all of those units and the helicopter were already at the ready to handle the pursuit.
Ileana, do we know any more particulars about the possible shooting here?
And for those of you, this is potentially one of your first chases. Look at the top of the CHP and LAPD units. If it says the letter K followed by the number 9, that would be a fur missile unit. That lead unit does not say K9. Likely PIT certified. PIT stands for Pursuit Intervention Technique. If the car is going fast enough and they want to intervene, and they are PIT certified, that takes approval from their jurisdiction and department, they will hook that right fender, or I should say cage, at the front of the cruiser into the back left fender of the suspect's vehicle, spin them around and try and stall the engine. Who's a good boy? Skip in the chat. Who's a good boy?
If she has a gun, they
He's so
will
cute.
not attempt a pit maneuver here, will they?
Yeah, usually they don't. And the reason they don't do that is because should the driver, who is armed, end up possibly nose to nose, bumper to bumper with one of the officers, they wouldn't want to put any of those officers in any sort of jeopardy. So
Especially if they're armed. As Eliana said, no pit maneuver. If they spin them around, they may fire through the windshield.
Going to tracking mode, which means they're going to keep the units on her. What they could do is spike strips. But even then, that's kind of dangerous to put spike strips in front of a vehicle where you know the person is armed. But that is one thing they could possibly try to do, is put some spike strips up ahead and then just hope that she runs them over.
You know, but it's also a concern for the drivers that are around her. I mean, if she gets stopped, we don't know what she's capable of doing, especially if she has that gun.
Yeah, that is a great point. What they'll try to do is when the pursuit does come to a stop, when the vehicle does come to a stop, whether it runs out of gas or she stops on her own or she's involved in a collision, what they'll try to do is clear all of the other civilians out of the way.
I don't think there's official word on what happened to Chauncey Glover, unfortunately. Unconfirmed reports it was a car accident, but unconfirmed, the key word there. RIP to KCAL Studio, one of our beloved news announcers here on Birds in the Air, as well as the Los Angeles News. Chauncey Glover did pass away this week, unexpectedly.
The objective is just to keep their eyes on her, try to convince her again to pull over. But again, the biggest danger in all of this is that she has a gun and she has already used it.
Already discharged the gun. Okay, that
She has used it. She's
escalates
shooting
this a little
suspect.
bit.
We don't know if she's fired at someone, shot them, or just fired into the air, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we all we know is that she was involved in some sort of shooting. Whether or not there is a victim, that part is still unknown.
You know, and as I'm seeing this freeway here, the 170 still, right? Whereabouts exactly? Sun Valley, is that it?
Yeah, exactly. Arleta, Sun
The traffic is keeping this chase relatively calm.
And the 5 come together. And if you're on that 170, your only option
Traditional,
is to transition onto the northbound 5 because this is where the
firing,
freeway comes to an end.
gun
You could also
firing
exit
suspects
at
usually
Shelby
are
right
driving
before,
crazy.
Getting onto the 5
There was just a
freeway.
major
Still
accident
got
up here on
a couple
Sherman Way. You
options
saw the sign on the
coming up,
right-hand
but
side of the
you're still gonna
screen.
encounter a
It's
lot
like the
of
number
traffic
one,
as she
you load the
approaches
Citizen
the
app and it's
merge there with the 5 freeway.
massive pile up
And the
on
118
Sherman
is also
Way.
coming up.
Crazy
The
out there in
118
LA
onto
today.
that 405.
Yeah, she really does have a lot of options when it comes to freeways. I do see her putting on her blinker. I hadn't noticed that before.
Right.
So perhaps she is signaling that she wants to exit, but again, she needs to wait till the next exit comes up. I believe she already passed Sherman Way, so we're a little bit north of that. So perhaps she is going to try to exit here off of Roscoe or Sheldon and bring things to an end because she does appear to be signaling that she wants to exit at least.
Ileana, initially she was running with her flashers but turned those off. Let me just add, we've been able to get some more information on this. Police believe she is linked to a shooting that happened in Echo Park. They say it happened late this afternoon. They're not providing any more details than that, but they do confirm that she was
Picking up
involved
speed
in
here.
some sort of altercation or shooting in Echo Park.
Golden State 26, you're appreciated, my friend. Thank you for the sub.
Easily identifiable that they were able to find her so quickly, or they knew who she was and where she might be located.
always Echo
You know,
Park.
let me
It is
zoom in
always
real
Echo
quick.
Park.
I want to say I see a dog.
A
I see
dog?
Something there on the passenger seat. Do you guys see
It's a
that?
dog!
A
It's a white
small
little dog. Yes.
It's a pug!
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like they knew that there wasn't any other humans.
It's a Doge!
With her, but we hadn't heard anything about a possible animal. But from what I can tell, that does look like a small dog that is in the passenger seat with her.
Ileana, are there any other
Little white Doge.
or officers ahead of her at this point, blocking traffic, getting on the freeway?
So I had noticed that there were officers behind, kind of keeping traffic back, but I haven't seen.
Don't send the K9. Don't send the fur missile. It's going to look like the end of Jurassic Park where the T-Rex is in the lobby and the little velociraptors.
Moving over to the right, so as we thought.
We are exiting the 170 northbound in Sun Valley, headed to Roscoe Boulevard. Side street action coming up here shortly. 4 stars on the want.
Almost at the very last minute here before getting onto that northbound 5. So she's going to exit Roscoe. We'll see if it was an attempt to avoid some of that traffic or if she had any intention of actually pulling
Might just
over.
be getting back on the freeway.
It's still set up to exit onto Roscoe Boulevard.
Okay.
Okay, so now she's in like the North Hollywood, Sun Valley area, right?
Correct, yeah. So she really hasn't been able to go that quickly, obviously, because of the traffic. So we're still in roughly in the same general area near the 170 and the 5 freeways, setting up to go westbound on Roscoe Boulevard, which is always a very busy area.
You know, there's that high school.
You tell 'em, Eliana.
Is around there.
Yeah.
I believe on Roscoe Boulevard. As she's approaching Laurel Canyon, not sure necessarily which direction she's going to be headed, but yeah, there is that big high school.
Yeah,
there,
it's
and there's
Dodge
another
Charger.
Middle school in that particular area.
At Grog,
Also very
5 tier 1 subs going out to the
kids were
community.
just coming out
Though
of
he's in the
school
chat if you received one or
and
did
decided
not.
to
Much
stay late
appreciated.
with
Thank you,
practice of
at
some sort.
Grog.
Yeah, absolutely. Kids involved in after-school sports.
Dog has warrants. Who said the dog has warrants? No Paul Walker challenge as we go through the overpass.
A little bit. I'm hoping that she's just looking for an area to pull over. But of course, officers, they don't care if she blocks traffic. They just want her to pull over and pull over now. But at this point, she's continuing.
Cheers, cheers
to
indeed,
westbound
Grog.
on
Enjoy yourself a nice
Boulevard,
little
on the
chase
way
here.
from the 170
Roscoe Boulevard,
headed towards Sun Valley.
off the 170 and the 101. We are in Sun Valley, just north of, let's call it Burbank.
Driving hasn't necessarily been all that erratic. It's been pretty steady.
How are they gonna get the dog, have the dog do the crab walk back?
Is that a minivan?
The waddle back and then put your hands behind your back.
Dodge minivan. I don't know the exact model.
It is a Dodge, Eliana. This is a Dodge Charger.
Minivan. I don't know how great the gas mileage is on these, but it is a bigger car, as Annabelle was saying, so it's usually not great. And again, we don't believe anybody else is in the car with her, except for what appears to be a small dog. Now, whether there's any other animals in there, that's unknown at this time, but we did notice that she at least had a small dog in the front with her.
Doge.
And 40 years old is how they describe her. A woman, 40 years old.
40-year-old
wanted in connection
woman,
with that
supposedly.
shooting that took place on Echo Park Avenue and Bellevue Avenue earlier today.
Maybe we'll get bilingual Telemundo broadcast from Eliana. Probably not as we approach the major 5 o'clock news hour here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's going to look kind of industrial, kind of rural, but what it is, it's just where the 5 and the 170 come together. We have a lot of these empty plots, and so that's pretty much where we're at. So, unfortunately, they can't try a pit maneuver because she's armed. Normally, I would have
Schmitty in the chat says, I have 2 pugs watching intently. New demographic of audience here on Birds in the Air when there's a Doge involved.
And for the safety of the officers, they're not going to attempt to pit. But they could try to set up some spike strips. If they know that she's going to be on this street here for a little bit, officers can run up ahead, throw some spike strips, and then hopefully she runs them over.
Ileana, excuse me. The fact that they know she's
Jay
40
Rayner,
years old, that tells you
1523,
they know
13
who
months
she
and
is
counting.
and know a little bit
About time we
her.
move in together, 13 months.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
correct. They know enough to know our age, so they've got enough.
Bro Kid in the chat says he's at Universal and saw the birds in the air notification. Yeah, you can see the birds in the air quite literally, I think, from Universal.
A lot about her, and they know that she was.
Oh, look at that unit on the 170. That may have been the spike strip unit that was ahead waiting for the vehicle. We heard from Eliana they were prospecting it. There's a bird flying by. That's an LAPD airship.
They likely also have her phone number. So they
Black
can
and white.
call her, get an
Blue and white,
investigator on the
CHP.
line, and
Gold and
actually talk to
green.
her that will maybe-
LASD, Sheriff's Department.
I gotta wonder, did somebody make the call to LAPD, or how did they get word of this shooting? Do we know that?
In all likelihood, somebody did call LAPD. Of course, even somebody who may have just heard the shots fired earlier today. But of course, how they were able to
Looks like she might be pulling over
the
here.
shooting to her, that's what's unclear to us.
Pulling over
But I believe
alongside the
she may be
curb.
done. So
Pulling
she
over
may be
right
pulling
now.
over here.
Doors
Now, we keep
open.
letting
Now the
loose on
standoff
shots, because,
begins.
again, we do believe that she's armed, and we don't know what could happen going forward. So we're going to keep a slightly wider shot here. You'll see
This
all
is
the
where
officers
it begins. Look at this
coming to frame.
fleet.
These are all LAPD officers.
Fleet of LAPD officers, plus an LAPD airship, and we have Duck Duck Goose. They got to scramble back to the units. We're making a U-turn.
Thought this was over, but
We're making a U-turn heading back towards the officers.
making a U-turn here. Sheldon and
They're trying to box her in.
Yeah.
Unsuccessful. Oh, this escalated very quickly. We went from giving up potentially officers out of the car to now turning around facing, if they make contact, this becomes an ADW chase as well. Assault with a deadly weapon, but no contact made. Awfully close.
It looks like she's
Now she's pulling over again.
A little bit more erratic, or at least she was when she first started driving off. Stopped again. I mean, who knows if she's going to get out of the car or pretend to get out of the car, right? And just.
Yeah,
have
she
that kind of
stopped
game
again.
plan.
So I don't know if this is a cat and mouse situation. Which
Duck, duck, goose. Oh, here they go. Look at the cops scramble.
Officers to get
road?
out of their vehicles.
There's someone walking across the street. Fucking chaos.
Was that a spike strip, maybe?
It looked like a civilian to me, Colleen.
It was a civilian in the middle of the road.
Blue jeans, from what I could quickly tell.
I told you, man, when the chases go long enough and enough LAPD airships are involved, there's a unit ahead, parked underneath potential spike strips.
Maybe he set something up.
No.
I'm not saying,
When a chase like this goes long enough, you start to turn into a clout chase. Clout chase, you're going to get pedestrians in the street. People are going to start coming out of their houses with their phones and getting involved in the chase after 15 to 20 minutes. We're approaching the 5 o'clock news hour as well, so there are going to be a shit ton of people that are about to be introduced to this chase that have the news on.
Is that the LA Wash?
Yeah, so this isn't a residential area. We have all these like rock quarries here. in
This would be
the-
an amazing spot to
There's
pit.
a lot here in the both in the early
No houses, no cars parked on the side of the road, no oncoming traffic. That would have been amazing, but the vehicle may not be going fast enough.
Residential areas.
Usually need to be going between 30 and 45 for a perfect pit.
Arleta, Pacoima, this whole general area is mostly residential in this part of town. So I don't know if she has a connection to this part of the city. And that's
She could
why
potentially
we're
drive in the wash right there. There's a gate.
Where she ended up.
Oh, that's scary.
Which became the northbound 170.
Pulling over again.
And she got stuck in traffic and didn't want to wait. But she's, again, going to slow down. And if she does what she did the last 2 times, she's going to wait until the
Yeah,
officers
you do
get
not
up
correct.
their cruisers and take off.
Nick's in the chat says, you do not, and I cannot stress this enough, pit a potential shooter that has already discharged their weapon once.
Yes, so we're roughly in the area of Laurel
That means they
Canyon,
turn,
that's the
face,
major.
and
We've
fire
got Osborne,
potentially.
We've got San Fernando Road, so all major streets here. In,
And there she
San Fernando
goes.
Valley.
Yeah, again.
Oh, look at all the doors closing in unison.
Officers get out.
Synchronization. Sorry, my window blocked it.
Definitely playing a game of cat and mouse here. So what the thought process is behind her doing that is unknown to all of us, of course. Of course, it does buy her a little bit of time when they have to jump back in their cars, but there's no way this is going to buy her enough time whatsoever to try to get away in any feasible way. But a little bit more traffic coming up here as she approaches Arleta Avenue at Ottoman Street. Now we're entering Arleta.
Approaching an intersection.
Remind our viewers, if you're
We're in the median right now, double crossing 2 double yellows. That's a big violation.
There's a shooting suspect in that
Big
minivan
traffic
right
violation,
there.
crossing
It
double
may have
yellows
been a
like that.
possible shooting in Echo Park. And Ileana, those
biggest
are
violation you can
LAPD
get,
units following,
crossing an island of
they've
double
identified
yellows.
This person behind the wheel as a 40-year-old woman.
Make your insurance go all the way up. Thankfully,
Yeah,
that's a
this
green
is,
light.
The LAPD's Rampart division, so they are nowhere close to home. Rampart is very close to downtown Los Angeles, and right now we're currently in the LAPD's Foothill division and North Hollywood. We're kind of creeping into both of those, so we're very well outside of their general area. So what these Rampart officers could do is they could actually request the assistance of the
Oh,
nearby
no, not the
LAPD
traffic
officers.
violation.
So again, that would be North Hollywood, it'd be Foothill Division, it'd be Mission Division, and of course, if she were to jump back on the
Oh, you're
freeway,
actually
then at
correct.
that point,
Passing a
they
school
would
bus
go with
is
person
the only one
if
worse.
The LAPD would like the assistance.
You're right. You're right.
You know, according to LAPD, Rampart,
Passing a stop school
they're
bus with a
saying
stop sign
that
out.
The call was made around 4:10 this afternoon.
Is her insurance going to go up?
shooting
Well,
at Bellevue
I don't.
and Echo
I'm going to
Park.
assume this isn't even her
And
car.
Whichever party
Allegedly
was
stolen.
involved, provided officers with the vehicle description, and then 2 minutes later, which is amazing, they located that description or that vehicle that matched the description. And again, as you were saying, the driver is believed to be a.
Oh, look at that Dodge Charger. Look at that beautiful black Dodge Charger that this Dodge Charger is about to drive past. Oh, that's a beautiful looking one. A lot of Dodge Chargers on the road.
In finding the vehicle, but a lot of the time, officers are able to find some of these suspects because of license plate readers. So they have license plate readers in their cruisers, or even traffic lights will run license plates.
Birds in the air everywhere. I can't even imagine being on the street near this. You got 5 news choppers overhead, LAPD airship, an Armada. Look at the red and blues lighting up in the rear view mirror there. You have a fleet of LAPD cruisers in pursuit.
That could possibly be. But again, older model car, a Dodge van.
There's more Dodge Chargers here than people, believe it or not.
Light brown in color with what we believe is one female driver, 40 years old.
In a Dodge.
And a small dog in the passenger seat.
We want to let you know as well.
Eliana has a small
is
white
telling
dog
us
too,
they're
so
still
she's going to be
searching the
very,
area
very
right
intense with
around
this.
Echo Park.
5 southbound interchange coming up. If she makes a right-hand turn, we're headed 5 south.
know she just turned
That's the
off.
5 southbound interchange. This is going to take us back towards downtown.
And now she's getting on the northbound
Oh,
line.
north. Sorry, I thought that said
it's gonna
south.
be the
Not great for
northbound
us.
freeway, which
But we have plenty of room here.
forever, of course. So I'm not even-
The 5 will
not
take you
even
all the way to
know
Canada.
Options here. But
This is going to be a
northbound
marathon
line,
chase, and I'm getting hungry.
Look up real quick. It doesn't look like the traffic is actually that bad. I can see as far as roughly to about the 405.
This is
freeway
not towards
in Mission
Downey.
Hills, and it looks like traffic is actually generally light, kind of like what
This-
we're
we
seeing
are-
here. So she won't
this
be
road does not lead to
experiencing
Downey unless we
super
turn
heavy
around.
traffic as she continues northbound on the 5.
And we want to remind our viewers that she is driving and she's got a small white dog in the passenger
Doge.
seat. And we believed it's
Well, I'm in a weird spot. I don't want to eat dinner because I have poker tonight, and there's going to be food at the poker game. But poker doesn't start until 8 o'clock, so I got to survive until 8. Might make some fish sticks.
Here for the LAPD and or the CHP, if and when.
But yes, I really am craving
Yeah, so at this point,
spaghetti with
LAPD,
meat sauce and Rayo's.
Can call the CHP.
As soon as there's a
CHP
chase,
has
it's just
already
in my
been advised
brain. I
about
want
the pursuit,
fucking
but
spaghetti
they
with meat
can
sauce so bad.
request that CHP take over, and there's certain situations where CHP may say no, but in a situation like this where obviously this is a dangerous individual, it's not just a property crime, because sometimes if this was just a
Come on,
stolen
people, how
car,
old is that
they may
South
just
Park
let it
episode?
go. They may just say, oh, well, we'll get this vehicle back at some other point. It's more important.
Good
for
question
us
from
to
Hey Gerardo. Is
make
the
sure that
dog
everybody
considered a
is safe on the roads
hostage?
versus continuing to follow her. But
Good
in this
question.
Case, obviously, we know it's not a property crime. It does
Sure makes it a
qualify as
4-star
violent
chase,
crime.
though.
It was a shooting, whether or not there was a victim. So for this reason, the LAPD is going to try to stick with it as long as they can, but they will always have that option of asking CHP to take over the pursuit. Because it is now on the freeway, they really would be the best equipped
You get the show,
to do
Nick.
it,
The moment I get up to
especially
make fish
for some of
sticks,
these
something
LAPD
crazy will
cruisers.
happen.
They're so far out of their jurisdiction.
Looking
that
away
they
from a
can't even
boxing
from,
fight for
essentially
2
downtown.
seconds.
They're so far out of their jurisdiction that they could possibly start to have radio issues and communication issues between them and the dispatchers. The CHP, though, isn't going to have that problem.
The good news
It
is
now 5 o'clock. We've been following.
we're not dark. We're not in darkness yet, because if it was dark,
That shooting
Eliana has
happened
restrictions on
at
how far she can go
Echo
northbound
Park.
through
chase
the
is
all the
out,
passes.
and, I'm looking up
Through the
towards
mountains.
Pacoima. Ileana Moreno still overhead in News Chopper 4. Ileana, this is the fastest we've seen her go all day.
Yeah,
Dog.
let me zoom in so we can get the most accurate speed. And yeah, we've got her going at about freeway speeds, but she really hasn't been going that incredibly fast. And she also hasn't been driving that recklessly. But the crime that she's wanted for is pretty serious. This woman, described as being about 40 years old, was apparently involved in some sort of shooting that took place earlier today off of Echo Park Avenue and Bellevue Avenue. Now, what we don't know
How
is
far are we
if
from the
anyone was
passes? I'd
actually
say
struck.
15,
If they
20
were,
minutes.
We don't have their condition at this point, or if this was a situation where she shot up into the air or just fired shots.
We're in
in
Mission
general.
Hills right
But
now,
they
so
were able to
my
get
guess
a
is 15 to
description
20.
of the woman. They were able to get a description of the vehicle. And
Luker
LAPD
in the
was
chat.
very quick
Tony
in
Stank in the
locating
chat.
that
Was-
car.
does that
They
say
tried to
23
pull her
straight
over
months?
in
God
Hollywood,
damn.
But she failed to yield, and the
Appreciate
pursuit
you.
was on, making its way northbound on the 101 to the northbound 170, and now northbound 5 approaching the 405 in Mission Hills.
The dog is
Again,
legged
as we
and
continue
dangerous.
with this picture, we want to give you the latest information we have, and that is this is a 40-year-old woman. The shooting happened at about 4 o'clock or so in Echo Park. We understand
Shooting
the
4 o'clock
LAPD
Echo
may
Park, which
still
means this
be
vehicle
looking
has
for a
only
possible
been
victim
on the
out there.
road for an hour, which means gas, unless it was close to empty, is not going to be an issue for a little bit.
In the San Fernando Valley, in the Mission Hills area, driving on the 5 freeway. You see
40-year-old at
one,
an Echo
two,
Park,
three,
essentially
that's
every
5 units behind her, as well
Netflix
as 6
rom-com
units
pilot
behind her.
ever.
Again, she hasn't. Well, now she's starting to pick up speed, Colleen, over 90 miles an hour. at some
No,
point.
stop. You must be a noob. That was the helicopter speed.
Shot from News Chopper 4, retired Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey, retired
BRG36 in the chat,
Cheryl,
giving out
thanks so much
5
for
Tier 1
joining
subs
us.
to the community. Appreciate everyone dropping your W's.
What is what's the playbook on this?
Who is this imposter?
Should
Put
you
Eliana
continue
back
to
on.
follow her?
BRG, you
Well,
are
they certainly can, and it just depends on what they find out in their
Very
follow-up
generous. Thank you.
investigation in terms of the seriousness that they want to add to.
I'm gonna
the crime
prepare
that she's already believed to have committed, and it looks as I'm watching
to get some
along with
Triscuits.
you that she's traveling at a, fairly reasonable speed, and she seems to be going in one direction on the I-5. And so at some point, if CHP decides to get involved, they can put down a spike strip in front of the path in which she's been traveling.
I'm going for it. I'm going for the Triscuits. 3, 2, 1.
Cheryl, let's get behind the psychology of her stopping 3 times, having officers get out of the vehicles, and then she takes off again.
It's hard to know. I mean, we don't know if she's in conversation with someone, maybe a family member who's encouraging her to put an end to this police pursuit, not wanting her or anyone else to get injured, and maybe she thought that might be a prudent thing to do, and then for whatever reason thought better of it and continued on evading and failing to obey the officers' red lights and sirens.
As you look at this, talk to us a little bit about the dangers for officers following her and other drivers on the freeways.
Well, listen, if she was involved in a shooting, it's safe to assume that possibly she's armed. And so at some point, might she decide to start firing shots at the officers? And, of course, you have no control over where bullets go, and so that puts everyone within proximity in danger. And while the freeway seems pretty open right now, at some point, they're going to encounter more vehicular traffic, and then you run the risk of getting involved in a traffic collision and someone who's not involved in this pursuit being injured in the process. And so right now it doesn't look dangerous, but it certainly has the potential to become dangerous.
Yeah. Cheryl, let's talk about the game plan here. How does this all pan out, you think? I mean, considering
I'm a man of culture.
She's not driving that fast, there is some traffic, and we're told she has a gun with her.
Well, officers have time on their side, and so as long as it's not, the driving behavior is not erratic, and right now it doesn't seem to be, she seems to be going at a low speed, so the officers can follow her indefinitely, and I'm certain that...
That was a big risk. That was scary.
It looks like it's not safe for the officers and the community to pursue, because now she's driving fast in an attempt to get away from the officers. They can back off. The air unit can continue to follow. My thoughts also are that at this point they know exactly who she is. They've had an opportunity to run the registration and maybe have officers sit up at the house if she's traveling in a direction that looks like maybe she's going home. Sometimes pursuits do take you to an area where they're familiar with the geography, their family members there. They don't want to give themselves up fearing that they may be harmed by police. And so there's a lot that we don't know about her and her intentions.
We know that a lot of people watch these car chases and they sort of armchair quarterback. Talk us through.
No, we would never.
Doing a pit maneuver or spike strips may or may not be the answers.
Well, at this speed, and you have something on TV that I'm looking at, if this is accurate, she's doing less than 30 miles an hour. And so certainly a pit maneuver is possible. Officers can do that. LAPD officers certainly have been trained in performing a pit maneuver. And
Even if she's armed?
Might be getting off the freeway here.
And you may not want to get too close, and so that's a consideration.
That's an off-ramp off the 5 freeway in Sylmar.
Then the officers may not want to get too close. But listen, I'm looking at it, and it seems like they are close enough, if she's armed with a gun, that she can certainly do great bodily harm and cause some serious injuries to the officers if she so desires. At some point, you're going to have to make a decision. Do we put an end to this, or do we just allow her to continue on until someone gets hurt?
Or until she runs out of gas. She is driving what seems to be a minivan.
Yeah, that's a possibility, but, who knows how much. I mean, is it,
My water
you start
tastes
with a
funny.
full tank? I don't know. And so, you want
Okay,
these things
so
final.
we have an interchange, not an exit. We have gone from the 5 northbound to the 210 east.
There's one black and white that we see.
That's fine as long as we don't go north.
Car lengths behind her. Is there someone in that car who's sort of making all the unseen decisions, or is it someone behind, or is it someone back at a station?
Well,
Good question. Are we near sniper territory? No, but as long as we take the 210 east, we will be approaching sniper territory. San Bernardino is east, but now we're getting off the freeway completely.
The pursuit along with the officers and can advise what the supervisor thinks would be in the best interest of safety for the individual, the officers, and the community. Ultimately, the watch commander can get on the radio and tell the officers to shut it down based on what the watch commander back at the station may be hearing that could be problematic in terms of civil liability.
Does it surprise you that as we watch this, she's actually being somewhat of a careful driver?
No, it's not surprising. We've seen slow speed pursuits many times, and again, I don't know,
stop under the
she's
overpass.
going someplace
Thank you.
specific.
It's pulling over
Is she going
again.
to stop and
Here we
get
go.
herself up, or is she just having a good time?
All
Pulling
so this is
over.
the fourth
Now
time,
what?
Cheryl, that she stops her vehicle and officers are getting off of their vehicles. And we're going to wait and see if she takes off again.
Well, let's hope that maybe
They got those
she
little
will
mini night
try
suns
to
blasting her
put it
front
in
window.
and just stop. But officers are going to be guided by whatever actions she takes. We're always being.
They've got some big boy weapons coming out, and here we go. Duck, duck, goose. We're outta here.
In this instance, they're going to be responding to whatever it is that she does.
And there she has done something. She just took off again. She looks like she's
210 westbound coming up.
turned right on Yarnell Street.
Nope,
and
210
it
westbound.
Looks like she may be
Getting on the
getting
freeway.
back on the freeway. We're going to pull up a piece of video from about 5-10 minutes ago where the same sort of thing
Just
happened.
needed
She
a little
stopped,
pump
and she
fake,
turned
little
around,
rest.
And she actually, if you look
Catch your
very
breath.
closely here, there were a number of black and whites behind her, and she dodged a black and white that just happened to be in the opposite lane. Is that considered threatening an officer? Is that assault with a weapon here because the car did that?
Well, listen, anytime you're in a vehicle and you move in the direction of an individual on the highway, whether it's a police car or a pedestrian, a vehicle is
Triscuits, yo.
considered a deadly weapon. You can kill somebody, obviously, if you hit them with a car. And so I don't know, if when everything is said and done and she's racking up charges in terms of evading and, violating traffic laws and speeding and all of that, the district attorney will ultimately decide what additional charges, if any, they want to add to the evading arrest and the possible shots fired or shooting that she may have been involved in.
And how often do we see female drivers involved in a chase and or female shooters?
Oh no, 5 northbound. 5 northbound interchange.
We see women behaving in this kind of activity. It's generally, males generally, but every now and then, again, you encounter a female who, for whatever reason, and I don't know if this lady is in crisis. I don't know if, I don't know her mindset, but it's not something that's commonly done by female motorists.
Cheryl, we've seen her get off the
Why
freeway.
does my water taste
turn
like this?
around, then get back on the freeway. We've seen that multiple times now. What do you think the mentality
like-
is behind that?
Cucumber water.
Hard to say, but I would, again, wonder why CHP isn't being included or at least asked to assist and set up a spike strip.
Figure that out later.
You know what, Cheryl? I think we lost you. I'm going to ask you to hold. Cheryl Dorsey, a retired LAPD sergeant. We're going to get back up topside right now with Ileana Marino. Ileana, she's on the 5 right now.
Yeah, Colleen, she's back northbound on the 5, but there for a few minutes, she was kind of all over the freeways. She got onto the eastbound 210, exited at Yarnell, and then got right back on the freeway going westbound 210.
Oh, big interchange here. 5 northbound and 14 northbound.
She might be split here with the 14, so she does have a couple of options. We've seen her get in the truck lanes as well, so that adds even more options for her. But I'm going to widen out real quick because she does appear to be slowing down a bit, and I think it is because there's a little bit of traffic up ahead of her. So we're right at the Newhall Pass, again, right where the 5 and the 14 meet. So she's still got options. I just don't know how much gas she still has in that vehicle, because I'm thinking at this
Right.
point that may actually be what brings things to an end, considering that they can't do a pit maneuver because they believe that she's armed. They haven't set out any spike strips ahead of her, and at this point, her driving really hasn't been that erratic where she could possibly cause a vehicle collision.
Eliana, we see that she's on the 5 freeway, approaching the 14 freeway, now heading towards Santa Clarita.
Correct, yeah, so she's northbound 5, she's right at the split with the 14 in the Newhall
Riding
Pass.
in
lots of lanes here, so she has
God.
lots of
Oh, she's in like the
options. You can see
shoulder.
that she's set
Or is
up
this
to
just
go
the angle of
northbound 5,
the...
There is a little bit of traffic right in front
Oh, I
of
think it's
her.
just the angle.
I'm going to ask my pilot, Jim, if he could just sidestep just a little bit to the right so that we won't have that overpass here in the way. But I can tell you that the vehicles are right there. You can kind of see the police cruisers. And now we're also getting a night sun, it looks like. So
Night
the
sun.
helicopter didn't have a night sun on the vehicle earlier.
Welcome.
But now that it's getting a little bit darker,
To Birds in the Air After Dark. 5:13 p.m. Sun going down. Daylight savings time. We have entered prime time chasing. The night sun has made an appearance out of the LAPD airship,
We had a
14
retired
interchange
police officer
overhead.
with us, Cheryl Dorsey, and she questioned why the CHP wasn't more involved in this. Right now.
No, don't be doing this
Actually,
bullshit where
we're
you
trying to get
lose the
Ileana's
damn
signal back,
chase.
but we're gonna show you,
NBC's signal
Annabelle, you
sucks.
talked about this earlier. Several times she pulled over.
Don't be
It
doing
looks
it.
like she was
I'm gonna have to
waiting. The
change
officers
it.
there. She pulled over. She waited for just a minute. They all jumped out of their cars, and then this happened. She did a U-turn and swung through the officers on the other side.
Come on.
Yeah, she's done this 4 times already. She's also.
I'm giving it 10 seconds before I switch.
unfortunately, in
10,
this particular area, there aren't
9,
any passengers, so
8,
that's the good news,
7,
and she
6,
hasn't been driving
5,
erratically. But
4,
then she gets back on the
3,
freeway,
2,
exits, and then gets back on
1.
the freeway. So we don't necessarily know what her mentality is behind doing so. We don't know if she's, has a game plan here. But we have been told that she is armed.
Sorry,
and
Eliana.
This is a suspect, a woman.
You gotta change teams.
But it definitely rolls down the window when he makes a stop.
Rolls down the window, communicates a little bit, wondering what the demands could be. At this point, obviously he needs to give up.
KTLA doesn't know that it's a girl.
The LAPD being cautious because he is armed again. We believe that he has a silver gun. That's what has been reported to us. And, armed and dangerous changes the ballgame completely when it comes to this pursuit and how they're going to handle this pursuit with absolute caution and high caution because they know that he's armed. So he continues to make his way on on the I-5 North and with a dog in the front seat. And again, a possible shooting that may have happened. This is out of the Rampart Division of the LAPD.
Worth noting that when this pursuit was on surface streets, there were several opportunities for LAPD to be more aggressive. They chose not to be, and instead, here's an example here where the driver was just able to weave through and they let him go through. Again, different agencies would handle that scenario differently, but for their reasons, they're backing off and letting this driver, to a degree, dictate what happens here in terms of the speed. And obviously, this driver is increasingly desperate to get away. The speed's increasing on the freeway, and really, hard to understand, frankly, the state of mind of someone who is willing to do something like this. Clearly, he's been in contact with LAPD when he has pulled over. They've stopped. They've actually been so far as out of their cruisers. He rolls the window down, says something, and then continues on. So obviously the will to run is there for this driver. CHP well aware of this. I just saw a CHP cruiser on a gore point there on the freeway, on the side of the freeway, just about a mile back. They're clearly aware of it. They have units in position if and when the LAPD requests that aid. But at this point, Gil, you have to believe it may be sooner rather than later as this moves now north into the Santa Clarita Valley. Still LAPD.
Night Sun blasting.
That's right, Mike and Sharon. In fact,
Gil Davis on the call,
the
Sky
CHP
5.
is assisting but not taking the pursuit, and they did have a successful spike strip as he went just north of the 14 freeway on the
What?
5 freeway. So let's come in and see if we can see those tires.
Successful
coming
spike
down.
strip?
It looked like.
I was looking at it. When did the spike strip go out? Did anyone see it?
There a short time ago. Hard to tell. It's a little dark out here, but CHP is confirming that they had a successful
spike strip.
And they have units up ahead.
10 minutes until those tires go flat.
In case the driver gets off there, and they are going to allow this. The LAPD is going to.
CHP reporting successful spike. Could be all 4 tires.
Okay. Are you getting information, Gil, that the driver might possibly be a woman?
No,
here we
go.
I heard the LAPD mention. They said she, and so when we looked at the driver earlier, it appeared to be a male, but it's hard to say. It looked like a larger person. We didn't have a really clear shot.
Yeah, it definitely could have been underneath one of the
At
interchanges.
this point, we did hear mention the word she, so it might be a female, not a male driver.
Well, he or she, the charges stand, and they continue to grow. As
Red and
this
blues,
suspect
night sun
continues
lighting
to
up the
run.
sky.
LAPD, the lead agency,
New York has Times Square.
the Santa
We have
Clarita
night sun
Valley.
here in LA.
Involved in a shooting, this suspect, authorities.
Seattle, you have the Space
in the
Needle.
Hollywood area
We have the
at
night
4 o'clock
sun.
hour. This has been primarily on freeways.
Paris, you got the Eiffel
On
Tower.
surface streets
We have the night sun.
off the 170 freeway.
Print the shirts.
In the valley, but not for long. Back on the 5 north to the 210 east, turning around back to the 210 west, 5 north. So here we go into the Santa Clarita Valley and beyond. As you know, heading toward the Grapevine potentially. There's a split with the 126 in the Magic Mountain area that would take you out toward Oxnard, Ventura. But this driver now, for the first time, gaining a little bit of speed.
Aerodynamics of the vehicle still intact. You'll see as soon as we start tilting, and the moment we start turning, the air will pour out of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Still driving. I'm still trying to see. If there's
Night
any
Sun's gonna light the
indication
Olympic
that the
torch
spike
in
strip-
2028.
On the driver's side, it
That's
looks like
funny.
the tires are normal. It could be run flat tires on the vehicle as well, so it could. Be
Yeah, I'm
flat.
sure that Dodge Charger has run
50
flats.
miles to go on those tires, if indeed it's run flat tires. But at this point, 50 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour, it's the fastest we've seen the driver go. The airship overhead with the night sunlight and all the units in trail, including the California Highway Patrol.
Guys, I'm going to mute this just for a second because I want to do a quick test with my microphone quality. During the Sirius XM show, my microphone sounds a little echoey, so I just want to hear it for a second. Hold on.
At this point, 50 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour is the fastest we've seen the driver go. The airship overhead with the night sunlight.
I got to wait for it to catch up.
All the units in trail, including the California Highway Patrol.
Guys, I'm going to mute this just for a second because I want to do a quick test with my microphone. It sounds so much better on Twitch than it does on...
For over an hour now.
It's gotta be some of the
and LAPD
settings
is
that I'm-
still in pursuit here, but CHP did deploy a spike strip, and they said that it was successful. We have yet to see the success of that spike strip. Usually by now we would have seen some kind of sparks or the tread coming off, and but none of that has happened. So maybe perhaps
No,
it wasn't as successful
real
as
shooter,
they
I
thought
appreciate it, but
was, and
it's-
they might have to try again.
I listen. I'm too in the thick of it, and I can hear the slightest of echoes on the Sirius XM show that I've been trying to fix with different settings.
As this van moves along, and here comes the CHP now.
Connor, what? Oh, Jesus! I looked up for a second. I thought we were going for a pit maneuver on the CHP's taking over the pursuit. That's a CHP unit taking over for LAPD, which is well out of its jurisdiction down in Echo Park. Jay Rich and Con OBS, I appreciate you guys for subscribing to the
in the
channel.
left lane and CHP in the right lane, and it looks, Gil,
Multiple jurisdictions here.
based on what you're hearing, but from what we're seeing,
Just let's get the sheriff's department involved too and have a party.
Yes, in fact, LAPD just asked for the CHP to take
What
over
Sirius
the
station
pursuit
am I
because
on?
it's-
Channel
they're so
86,
far out
10
of
to 1
pocket.
p.m.
Now,
Pacific
LAPD
time.
units will stay in pursuit, at least the lead vehicles and supervisor to make the arrest.
Every day.
But for now, the California Highway Patrol is in charge of this chase, and we'll see.
That's why
what
my
they
voice
decide to
sounds
do.
so
If they
raspy.
try
I
to do a pit maneuver,
talk
maybe
into
they
a
won't.
microphone all damn
But,
day.
we have, as far as traffic, we're basically coming up to the Magic Mountain area. We're in Valencia, and we have the 126 highway coming up. But if it doesn't take that, it's going to be northbound 5 towards the Grapevine.
Right. Again, so CHP came in pretty aggressively, as you saw, to take over the lead of this pursuit. And it seems like they are just kind of trying to figure out what they're going to do next. But we have seen in the past, even on the freeway.
Maybe if I turn the
speeds
gain
are
up on the
enough that
microphone.
They will do a pit maneuver and box that person in. So we'll see what the tactics are going to be as they inch closer to this pursuit. And she's now starting to kick up her gear and go a little faster than we've seen this past hour, at least just for that moment there. But she's well aware that there is, looks like that there's more units behind her, and probably feeling that aggressive nature behind her as well, that pressure.
And there's all the units that are staying in it. LAPD in the trail, CHP in charge now of the pursuit, taking it over just minutes ago, and still no sign of the tires going flat. The CHP officer.
I'm skeptical
that
about
deployed
this
the
spike strip
did
that
say
they
it was a
reported to be
spike,
successful.
But but it's possible that those are run flat tires.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet a lot of money they're not, based on the vehicle.
Yeah. Just call the vehicle broke.
Just the odds are they're
It's a
not.
Dodge
Odds
Charger.
are
It's an
because,
older Dodge Charger.
and
We don't discriminate against Dodge Chargers, but this is an older version.
It would have,
There's ain't no way
shown
run
something
flats are on an older
so-
version of a
so
Dodge
miles,
Charger.
50, 60, 70 miles an hour, that'll do it. That as it is, they took a shot, didn't get it, from what we can see here. And it now moves toward the Grapevine, where we may have some limitations in terms of our airship and what you're able to
Correct.
do.
That's what I'm worried about. The more we go north and the darker it gets.
I think there's enough daylight for us to get up there. At this point, we'll see how it goes. If indeed she does have the option of doing the 126 right now, but I think that's right there is the option. So I think she's going to be committed to that 5 north towards the Castaic area. And I think we'll be able to hang out with this pursuit for a little bit.
Well, you fly
yeah,
it, we cover it.
We'll see how we... Yeah.
And so it goes, northbound toward the Grapevine. It looks wide open, and at this hour, without adverse weather conditions, there's a potential to run here for this driver if the driver is...
Yeah, we're in a little bit of trouble here. We are flying away. We're too far from the damn
area, northbound into
studio and
the
ability for the chopper to keep going.
Point in the Magic Mountain area, they requested CHP.
Yeah, we're en route to Canada.
But you
We're headed to West
have a large
Sacramento.
contingent of LAPD officers trailing behind CHP here. They really want this suspect, and they're going to get this suspect eventually. The question of whether CHP makes the arrest and transfers to LAPD, that's a question that will be answered later. But
What?
there you go.
Ah!
Is that CHP?
CHP just went flying ahead.
Yeah, that's going to be a CHP officer that is getting ahead of the pursuit.
Oh, that's a spike strip.
Maybe to help with traffic.
That's definitely going to be a spike strip and or someone shutting off the
I
on-ramps.
mentioned a spike strip in the last few minutes. We'll see, though, that officer is...
Definitely someone setting up a spike strip ahead.
And at this
Gave it
point,
away.
no
Not that that person
traffic on the
knows, but
freeway.
he was
Here's
driving
look
like
at
a
the 5
bullet.
ahead of the pursuit. And yeah, there is some traffic there coming up. So that might be the reason for that officer to get up there to assist.
Yeah, but it looks like, you know, they have something planned for sure to try and end this sooner than later, before it gets, you know, farther north and darker. But they're going to stay on it until they have their person in custody.
So we should expect a spike strip,
But,
I think, ahead.
again, it looks like
Because the one that they told us about before has not done any sort of job on these tires. We're approaching 10 minutes since the confirmation. I didn't see anything.
You know, deal with the traffic situation up ahead, and at the same time, we have another CHP officer in pursuit, along with 10 other units from the LAPD, well out of their jurisdiction right now. Obviously, they want to get this person in custody who's wanted for a possible shooting.
Question in the chat, why didn't they just pit when they were in the middle of nowhere? Because this person is armed and they're worried about spinning the vehicle around and potentially being shot at through the window.
Incident. We've been trying to get the LAPD
Hence the 4
to
stars.
confirm with us what went down at this shooting. We have not been able to confirm any details as of yet. What we do know is that this person who is driving this car is possibly a woman and has a gun, a silver one, that they've been telling us about, that she is armed and dangerous.
Hey, Joe, I do hear you.
Yeah, they're describing it as a silver handgun, and again, a dog is riding shotgun.
A dog!
With this suspect as it continues to move northbound on the 5 freeway. It sounds like Gil's communicating with somebody.
It's almost pitch black outside. It's 5:30.
LAPD behind
The
this
fuck?
driver, and it has not been a high-speed pursuit by any means. It has been at speed limits or below speed limits, whether it's on surface streets or the freeway, and it's kind of continuing at that clip here. An attempted spike strip in the Santa Cruz Valley area we're going to deem unsuccessful. This would have come to an end by now. There would be some sign that there was a problem with at least one of the tires. That's not the case. This car is moving. This minivan is moving. without impediment at fair speed, 60 miles an hour. So again, this driver wanted for involvement in a shooting described as armed.
Going to start to lose the signal here.
There goes the signal again. As we move toward the Grapevine, this could be more and more challenging for us with Sky 5.
Lord knows what it
as
looks
we
like on
move
NBC with their
we'll continue
shitty-ass
to track
signal.
it so long as daylight allows. And at this point, they're north of Hasley Canyon. Here's a picture of what we saw just a short time
Really
ago.
need her to turn
A sort of
around.
pattern of behavior by this driver. This happened more than once on surface streets, pulling over, stopping as though surrendering, and then continuing on.
Let's see what
Once this
Kate
got on
Cal's
the
up to.
freeway, though, obviously it's been full speed ahead.
Kate Cal's got it.
Spike strips
And, you know,
can't be
at-
visible, and they have to also make sure that they're not going to get hit by a car.
Like out of the way.
It's dark out there, and see an officer there. I wonder if that was it, possibly.
That was it. I believe it was.
You think they threw another one?
Negative spike, they just said too.
All right.
That was.
Damn it,
that
we
was
missed
the
it.
attempt. It was right there under the crossover, so we couldn't see it, but I just heard them say negative spike.
Negative spike, didn't connect.
So that is two spike attempts that we have seen, neither one successful. You saw
Okay,
the suspect
live with
kind of get
Desmond
over
Shaw
to
now.
The left-hand shoulder there into the center divider, and that was probably to avoid that spike. But it just goes to show, even when suspects are going at slow speeds, the type of coordination that takes and perfect timing. And as experienced as CHP is with that maneuver, and I think that might
Ah,
be another one.
there's another one.
Yeah,
Officers ahead.
There was another one. And it looks like she had
With its lights off.
Yeah, I think it was.
Lights were off. I saw that one.
See if they're saying anything about that, but we saw that unit there, and it sure looked like he retracted some spikes. So there may have been multiple attempts right there. Okay, now, thank you, Assignment Desk, confirming that they heard that one did contact.
Successful
So I thought
spike
there would be a couple
on the
more
second
attempts before
try.
we started making
Lights were blacked out on the side of the road.
beyond, Sheriff's
Sneaky
helicopter.
spikes.
Okay, so
Oh,
Sheriff's
sparks.
helicopter's coming in as
I see
well.
sparks.
Also with
I see sparks.
equipment. So we'll see if we can stick with this one. We're really on the border of how far it's safe for us to go. But that last
We're going to
spike was
lose it
successful.
right as
It's
this
awfully
gets
dark out
good.
here.
Might be pulling over.
Starting to have some trouble controlling this vehicle.
Yeah, front left is down.
Let's hope that this is just going
Front
to
left
be
is wobbling.
a peaceful ending.
Going down.
And hopefully, that little dog as well. But the writing is on the wall now for the suspect, as you can see, just barely
Run flats.
getting along now.
Who said run
So,
flats
we're also,
on this
climbing,
archaic
the
Dodge
Grapevine as
Charger?
well. So north of Castaic, tires flattening. How much longer can she go?
And you said it, Desmond, we hope that this is going to end peacefully.
We're all the way up at the Newhall Pass.
She can't move.
We're in the Newhall Pass now.
And she will be taken into custody, so just hopefully she will relent and cooperate in terms of exiting the vehicle with her little dog. That may be some incentive for her to do so, to have this end peacefully. And again, we don't know exactly what's happened and why she shot at two people. That's what we heard, though, that was the report, that she fired shots at two people in Echo Park Lake and then just took off. And here we are in Newhall, and the car is obviously damaged very slowly. We expect that any minute now that she will stop, because this is the third spike attempt, and we understand that it was successful.
And it was successful. We are hearing from our assignment desk on the front left tire, and so it looks like she is sort of looking like she's going to pull over, but then again, you see
We've
her
seen this before.
just a little bit. When these spike strips hit the tire, it's not a fast process, but as Desmond was saying, he did see her sort of, losing a little bit of control of the car, driving a little more.
This is either a turn or an off ramp.
Wobbly than it was before.
She's barely moving, according to our speedometer there.
She's
which is,
cut. She's cut. And it's a bad cut.
That it certainly was successful. But again, Susie, we have seen vehicles.
Any of you
sometimes
Zoomers know the
continue
movie
to
that I'm
drive
referencing?
longer than we think they would be able to.
True.
Even with a successful spike strip. So, Des, the key here now
hey, Shayton Sharp.
is how this is going to end. And we certainly hope it will end peacefully. We hope we can show it to you. But you see how far we are from this particular scene.
Yeah,
It's
just
so
so-
dangerous.
Two people said $1 million baby.
Yeah, just very stubbornly refusing to
Dara.
acknowledge the reality of the situation
Dara
now.
is correct.
The tires
Rocky
deflating
IV.
At least one, possibly two.
He's cut.
We
He's
heard
cut,
that
and
we
it's a
just heard
bad
that
cut.
They were saying excellent contact. So probably contacted 2 tires, if not, even all 4. It is a slow process, like you said, Susie, and it's also just really uncomfortable to be driving. I mean, I think we've all driven on flat tires, and it's kind of nerve-wracking. And now you're going to have potentially multiple flat tires, and you're also climbing the grapevine, a pretty steep angle, and barely able to maintain 20 miles an hour now at this point. So
I see sparks.
Just if she would just
Occasional spark.
she just will come out with her hands up, leave the dog in the car, leave the door closed, so that the dog doesn't panic and try to run out here into the wilderness or something.
Desmond only
And then
cares
hopefully
about
it's
the
a friendly
dog.
dog, and CHP won't have any trouble, getting that dog to the proper people. But it's still up to this suspect at this point. And 7 miles an hour now. We're down to the single digits with this vehicle. Now actually 13, 14. I think we're going at such slow speeds that our speedometer is kind of having trouble detecting it. Plus, we're getting farther away. We're basically as far north as we could go on this. So we're just kind of watching this one get away and hoping that it will end any second, and we see some hands come out of the window.
Because for her, again, in trying to figure out why this happened in the first place, being uncomfortable may not matter to her at this point. It could be her mind may not even be in that kind of set that says, okay, this doesn't feel so good. And she's just going to go as far as she can, even knowing that she probably won't get away. And that's when we hope that the desperation turns into some kind of inspiration for her to stop and give herself up peacefully, so that she and the dog can be safe. Let's face it. And then they can find out what happened, what drove her to do what she did.
Painful here.
Shooting at 2 people, why she has a gun in the first place.
That's right.
All those different those questions that she's probably, I don't know, in her state of mind, we just don't know exactly what she's thinking right now.
Sure.
But as you could see, Susie and Desmond.
Might actually be stopping.
I don't want to say she's trying to stop, but the vehicle certainly is, right? I mean, she probably can't go that much further.
Sure.
Even if she wanted to.
Yeah, as Desmond said, he heard the CHP said excellent contact with the
We're parked.
strips. We don't know.
And I saw her put it in park. You saw the reverse lights flash there, right?
On the freeway.
Yeah.
We haven't seen this on the 5 freeway yet.
And maybe she just can't go any further. So Desmond, you don't see any doors open yet, do you?
Don't see any doors opening yet, but 3 tires, it sounds like, deflated. Both it sounds like both of the front and then the right rear all made contact with those spikes and have deflated. So this should just
Desmond,
about be
can
it,
we
but
get
it's
to the
kind
other
of
side?
into a standoff situation? The other factor here is this is the main road through California, and it is blocked off right now.
All of 5 northbound traffic is stopped. If you are going from Los Angeles to NorCal,
that are trying to get out there.
You are not, sir.
Make deliveries,
Or
especially
ma'am.
now as we approach holiday season. There's going to be a lot more trucks on the road, and this road is now, sealed off until this situation is resolved. Not much of a traffic backup yet. Kind of surprisingly light volumes, but it's going to start to build. And CHP, they tend to have less patience with these type of situations. Yeah, even if they're dealing with an armed suspect. Whereas, with LAPD or LA County Sheriff's deputies, we've seen this situations potentially last for hours. With CHP, they kind of get their guys together. A lot of times they'll come in, they'll have the ballistic shields, and they'll just come in and break the window. Now, we are talking about someone who we have very strong reason to believe has a gun in the car, considering that this was a shooting suspect. But, so it'll just be interesting to see how CHP decides to handle this one, if they do want to get aggressive. But so far, the vehicle is stopped, but doors are closed. Still no sign of surrender here, northbound side of the 5, a couple of miles south of Templin Highway.
And they're probably taking into consideration too. They don't want her to be a danger to herself.
Sure.
All right, I'm going to look for a better angle.
So hoping
Give me a second.
that this will end in the right way, that she will get out and give herself up. But I'm sure that also is in top of mind as well. What is this person's state of mind? What could they possibly do if they have a weapon, besides using it on officers? I mean, we've seen this before. We certainly hope that that's not the case. But those are obviously questions that they have to ask themselves.
They believe to be very armed and dangerous, and that's exactly what we are, speculating about based on the crimes and the nature of the crimes that were committed here. Now you can see there's a cell phone in her hand. She is now on her phone.
Yeah, we can see the movement.
And obviously not complying. They are issuing instructions. She knows that they want her out of the vehicle. They want her to open that door and put her hands up.
Okay,
There was a hint of a left hand there,
Windows
but
down,
she's not complying either way.
I wonder if she is on the phone with you always wonder, on the phone with a family member, someone's talking her down. We just don't know. Maybe she's on the phone with authorities. Maybe there's a negotiation.
York
underway.
Bison in the
Now,
chat.
is that her
5
hand
tier 1
outside
subs
the
going
window?
out
Was that
to the
her
community.
hand?
Toby's in the chat for one of our community's most generous gifters. Hand is out the window. Okay, this is ABC7 with Chris Christie. No! Okay, good. Doors open, doors closed. What happened to sound?
Some, I would say, fairly erratic behavior here. She's not really
Maybe
a
she's-
little indecisive, I guess you'd say. She tries to.
Maybe she's trying to figure out the dog.
Got the dog.
She got the Doge?
She's
The Doge is in her lap.
Yeah,
She has the Doge.
dog down. That's going to be a priority
It looks like a
for
puppy.
those officers. Yeah, it's a puppy.
Yeah.
She's obviously attached to the animal. Definitely, you can understand that.
Oh, God.
But it is a problem that CHP now has to navigate because they need her to put that animal down and show her hands.
Well, at least if she's holding the puppy, she can't hold a gun at the same time. One hopes. If she's got
Right.
both hands on the dog, they at least know where her hands are. She is
Okay, at least
speaking
I
with
think
them,
that-
gesturing toward them. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Front left is down.
Put the puppy dog, show her
She's about to
hands.
Simba the dog.
That's a positive sign. You can see her mouth moving. She is yelling back at the officers, and now
Getting back in the vehicle, shutting the door.
The vehicle.
Are we driving off?
The situation. I know it seems like a minor thing, but the fact that she gets out of the vehicle with the dog and now has completely retreated back inside the vehicle.
In no mood to surrender here.
Tells them a lot. It tells them this could be a prolonged effort.
We're nearing Bearcat territory.
More prolonged than they were planning. Let's put it that way. And at some point, they will start making some decisions because now what they have is a bona fide standoff. Once again, the driver's side door popping open, the dog in the vehicle.
Okay.
And
Doors
she
open, now what?
knows that it's over, so she's showing signs of surrender. She just doesn't. She's probably mostly concerned about the dog, is my guess.
Hands are up.
We've seen that
See
before.
now, both hands up in the air. We have seen this before, and it always provides a unique set of circumstances because the most unpredictable character in all of this is the animal itself. Especially
Appears to be in surrender formation here.
It would be, that dog is obviously in the vehicle now, but if he gets spooked, he could jump out and run away, and that could agitate her.
Yeah, we don't want that either. So, yeah, we've seen this a number of times when people,
She's communicating with the police,
with the dog,
clearly.
and their immediate concern almost always is for the dog. And
Now we're getting back in the vehicle.
It's not
After what looked like a surrender,
as they-
we are not giving up again.
And for any of us, really, this is not a good situation. But again, authorities believe she's.
Could she
responsible
potentially
for
drive
shooting
away
and
here?
having shot 2 people, so her mindset.
Doors
is
open
not,
again. I mean, there are so many officers back there. Oh my God.
She's willing to give up here. It's the dog that's the X factor here.
Yes.
So again, she's out of the vehicle. Can't really make.
How many times can she play duck, duck, goose?
And surrender at the same time. So she's stepping away from the vehicle. They're urging her to follow their instructions. She's stepping further away from the vehicle. She's now in front of the vehicle, stepping away from the officers and away from the animal. Now, we're going to look at that dog. Keep an eye on the dog. The dog is safe.
Dog is still in the passenger side front
She
seat.
is showing her hands and arms. She's yelling again.
She's yelling. Does not look like surrender to me.
So communication.
Someone said D Wade level pump fakes.
Helicopters overhead as well. So it is. I guarantee you, it's a problem for them to be able to communicate here because you've got that LAPD helicopter right overhead. You have a bunch of other news ships overhead, and then you've got the distance between them.
Yeah, they probably can't hear each other at this point or understand each other. Yeah, you can see her talking.
She's gonna get lit up with beanbags, man.
Is you don't see any indication of further violence on her part or any violence. The gun is not evident.
In and out, in and out. This is like the third time, isn't it, that she's gone in and come back out. Now she's walking towards the police.
She's approaching the officer.
Hands are up.
She's doing it the wrong way. I'm sure they're telling her they want her to turn around because they want you to back up toward them.
And I'm
You are not supposed to walk towards them, even with your hands up. Do not go to your jacket. This is a shooting suspect. Do not go to those pockets, lady. Do not go to those pockets.
Either proned out or walk backwards towards them, where they then they would have her proned out closer to the arresting officers. If they keep her, if she is getting closer. But if she doesn't come all the way, they'll have to put that arrest team together, which is usually 3 or 4 officers collectively, and then they'll approach her gingerly, especially as long
Keep
as
it wide, Chris. We don't need to see. You can see the officer at the top there in lane number 1 giving her instruction. That guy right there. Put your hands up.
Her state of mind. Is she inebriated in any way whatsoever? Is there any other mental health issues or language barriers? You just never know, what they're dealing with down there. And sometimes they have to give her a certain amount of...
She's backpedaling away from the police towards the vehicle.
As long as she's showing her hands and there's no threat. They can exhibit extreme patience with her as long as they see the palms of her hands.
Well, time is on their side. They have time. There is really no need to rush in a situation that could turn dangerous at any moment. So it's best that they take their time and have the patience and give her a minute to comply.
What it looks like is she just doesn't want to get on the ground.
Moving in.
She just doesn't want to be on the ground.
Okay,
So
she's turning around, hands behind her back, giving up peacefully, and now they have to treat that minivan very gingerly as well until they get the code 4 and clear the vehicle. They have to work under the assumption that vehicle is not empty until they know it is for sure.
Okay.
They know there's a dog.
Approaching code 4, riot shield is out. That riot shield is not for the dog, I would assume, unless the dog is armed.
Very carefully here and shine a light into those windows. They've got their guns trained, a full team of officers here, 6 in total, approaching this Dodge Caravan, and they're
Dodge
able to get
Charger,
glimpse
but
now
close enough.
inside the vehicle. They will eventually pop open that back door, but they can see now with the flashlights that it appears that the vehicle is empty. They take
Code 4. 4's in. 4 fingers into the air we go. We are officially code 4 on this 4-star chase. Dog is safe. Doge
here in Castaic.
Well, what about
is alive and well.
Get the dog out of there.
Put the assault rifle away.
Animal control will be called eventually, but the dog, as far as we know, the dog is still in the vehicle. Although we did lose sight of the vehicle at one point when they were arresting her, and now I don't see any movement inside. So we don't know if that dog did jump out of the vehicle. I don't see any sign of the dog, but
The dog will be found, if not already taken.
I was surprised the dog didn't run out of the car.
Right, and didn't run toward her. So
Maybe it wasn't a restraint. She put him in a restraint. We don't know.
Possible. All right. So are we moving on at this point? I think we are.
I think we are, Mr. Brown.
More about both the shooting, which began all this, and about the condition.
All right.
Because I'm sure a lot of folks at home want to know about that. We're going to, in the meantime, though,
Everyone wants to know about the dog. Mark has us.
Fire in Ventura County.
In about 15 minutes, fire
All
officials
right.
are expected.
Well, that's the end of this chase, my friends. Code 4, suspect in custody. Dog should be okay.